I'm in the Go book for Office 2013, and we're beginning Excel. This is Chapter 1 for Excel, Project 1A. I'm on page 307. It says to start Excel and click blank workbook, which I've already done. And click on the normal window, which is this one right here. This is the view that you will be in probably 99% of the time. And we want our zoom level to be 100%. And we want to do a save as. We're not going to create a new folder. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the current folder. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Cancel that. What I want to do is go to the desktop. That was on OneDrive. That was not on the desktop. So let's go to the desktop here. And on desktop, let's go to CSC 110. Let's go to E01 for Excel Chapter 1. And we're going to save this as last name, first name, 1A, quarterly, come on, sales, and click on save. We're now on page 308, and take a look at that. Pause the video, take a look at it, and make sure you understand where all the different areas are. And we have some scrolling buttons here, and there's a whole bunch of columns. I don't remember the exact number, but there's a bunch of them. And a shortcut, keyboard shortcut, is to hit the end key and the right arrow. It'll take you all the way to the right as far as you can go. And we could calculate what that number is, but we're not going to. It's thousands of columns. And home takes me back, and if I hit the end key and then the down arrow, take me all the way to the bottom, and I've got over 1 million columns. And if I do Control Home, it'll take me back to cell A1 again. So it's a big spreadsheet, and now we're going to go to page 310, and we're going to enter some text. The cell with the green outline is the active cell, and the active cell is always displayed up here in what's called the name box. Cells are always referenced with the letter first for the column and then the number for the row. It's A1, it's not 1A. And I want to put some text in here. It's going to be Pro Fit Marietta, and press enter. It'll take me down into A2. Notice it flops over into column B. That's not a problem. If we put something in column B, it will appear on top of this, and you can always widen the columns. We'll talk about that later. We want second quarter cardio sales. And they tell you to go to up here and type in A4, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. Just go to A4. Just hit the enter key or click on A4. I think that's the only time in my life I've ever gone to a cell by typing it in up here. Usually just scroll for it and find it. In A4, we want to type exercise bikes. And in A5, type E, and if you do columns of things, it assumes that you may have repeating values, and so it will try to autocomplete what you've previously done before. And we want elliptical machines, and then we want treadmills, and we want rowing machines. And in AA, we want total. And then we want to save this. Now we're on activity 1.03 on page 311. And I want to go to cell B3 B3, which is right here. Type the letter A, and you notice it appears up here as well as down here. You can enter it either way. Most people just go to the cell and type it in instead of going to the cell and then clicking up here. And we're going to type in the word April. And then we're going to go to the lower right hand corner here. And when you position the mouse in the lower right hand corner, you get this little black plus sign called the fill handle. And this is for copying. And if you try to copy a cell that has a month in it, look what it does. It gives you the next 2 months. It also does that with days. And it does it with 3-letter abbreviations for months and 3-letter abbreviations for days. Now we're on page 311. There's a little options list here, but actually I rarely use that one either. Now let's turn to page 312 and click in any cell to cancel the display of the list, which I have already done. Press Control Home to go to A1. Now we're up in A1, and save this. Now we're going to go to activity 1.04 on the bottom of page 312. In the column heading area, point to, that's this gray bar here. Point to the vertical line between column A and column B, and hold down the mouse button, and you'll see that it tells you how wide it is, 8.11, which is 80 pixels, and they have a different default width than I do. And we want to drag this to the right until we get 120 pixels. And we may have to increase that because with different resolutions, yeah. So I'm going to drag the mouse over until it is far enough to the right that everything here, except for the second quarter cardio sales, fits in this column. If he gives you specific numbers for number of pixels in the textbook, that's probably not going to translate to exactly the same number on your computer. So he was saying 120. I had to go all the way up to, was 120? I had to go all the way up to 155 here. I guess it didn't go quite that far, but yeah, maybe 145 or something like that. Okay, now I want to go to cell B3, which is right here. And with the white plus sign, the black plus sign is the fill handle. It's only in the lower right-hand corner here. The white plus sign is used to select. I can click and drag and select any area of the screen that I want. And he wants me to select those 3 cells. And I want to center those. And this stuff here looks pretty much like it did in Word. The stuff from here on over is different. Some of this is a little bit different, but most of the stuff over to about right here is pretty similar. I want to center. And notice you can also do vertical alignment here, which was not an option in Word, but we want to do horizontal alignment, which is called center alignment, and I think they call this one middle alignment. Okay, top, middle, bottom, left, center, and right. And go ahead and save that. And now we're on page 314, activity 1.05. I want to go to cell B4 right here, and I want to type in 68991.12. And you know, you're not going to do this either. You're not going to click on this. You're going to just hit the enter key. So hit the enter key. And I want to go to cell C4. So I should hit the right arrow key actually, and type 86894.82, and then tab or right arrow, and in D4 I want 99650.58 and enter. And now I want to go down to B5, and I'm going to type in the rest of these numbers here, and I'm going to pause the video, and you can pause the video, do the same thing. Okay, I've got the data typed in, and they tell us to save our work. And now we're going to use some formulas and functions. Let's go to B8 here, and we're going to type in an equal sign. Equal sign says that we're putting a formula here, not not a value or a label. And what I want is B4 plus B5. Notice how it highlights them as I type them. Plus B6 plus B7, and hit enter. And it is adding up all three of these for me. When you click on the cell here, you'll see the number, but the formula will always appear up here. If I double click on the cell, I will also see the formula along with the color coding. So there's a couple of ways to see the formula. And now I want to go to column C, cell 8, and I want to do equals C4 plus, and another way to do it is just click on the cell and then plus and then click on the cell and then plus and then click on the cell and hit enter, and it will add them up. So I can either type them in or I can click on them after I type the plus sign. Now I want to go to D8. They're going to show us yet another way to do this. There's an auto sum button up here, and if I click on that, it will come up with a sum formula, and it'll try to add up everything that is real close to this number here, either in the column above or maybe the row to the left. And you should always be skeptical here and double check to make sure that the range, this is called a range with a cell with a colon and then another cell, make sure the range is correct. The dancing line helps you a lot because you can see that's obviously correct. And this means everything from D4 to D7. So you don't have to list all of the cells, just give the top left one and the lower right one and put a colon in between, and you'll get all the cells are in between those two cells. Hit enter, and it'll add up the numbers for me. So there's three different ways to add up the formulas there. And if I click up here, I'll see the formula. If I click here, I'll see the formula. So you can always see what the formula is too. And we're going to save that, and we're on to page 317. Now I want to go to cell E3, which is right here, and I want to do totals by category rather than by month. So type the word total, and look at that, it was nice enough to center it for me, even though I didn't explicitly center this before. It remembered I'd centered this stuff and thought maybe I want to center this one too. And now what I want to do is I want to go to E4 here, and it says hold down Alt and then equals, and that's a shortcut for the sum, and it tries to sum everything in the row since there's nothing above it, and hit enter, and it'll sum the numbers for us. And now what we're going to do is we're going to copy the formula as well. Now before we copy this formula, there's something you need to know, and that is that this formula says B4 to D4. Here's B4, C4, D4, so it's those three cells in the blue box. That's really not the way it's stored in Excel, though. The way it's stored in Excel is sum the three numbers to the left of this cell. Okay? So if I copy this formula down here, it doesn't try to add up the numbers that were here and here and here. It doesn't literally copy that formula. Instead, it copies the three cells to the left of this cell. And if I copy it down another one, I get everything to the left of this cell. If I copy it down a little further, I get everything to the left of this cell, and so on. And we'll do one more for the totals. And I could have done, I'm just going to delete these here. I could have done that all at once. Just go here and get your fill handle and drag it all down. I didn't have to do it 3 separate or 4 separate times. Okay, now in F3, right here, I want to put another label. I want to type the word trend, and they tell us to save our workbook. So click on our save floppy disk up there. And now what I want to do is select A1 to F1 right here. And I want to merge and center. This is like doing tables in Word. I can merge those cells and center what's in them. And then I want to go to A1. I'm still in A1. Notice this is still A1, even though it's got to have some way of referring to it. And so it's the first one in the group. And I want to go to cell styles, which are on my home tab here. And under cell styles, I want to click on the down arrow. And what I want is the title. And so that's a built-in style called title. And then I want to go to A2, and I want that to be heading 1. And I skipped a step. That one was supposed to have been centered as well. So let's go there and do a merge and center. You have to do it in two separate steps, by the way. You can't merge and center two rows of cells at the same time. And now I want to go and I'm going to make this heading 1. So now it looks like this. And select B3 to F3. And then we're going to do hold control down to do a non-adjacent selection. That works pretty much everywhere in Windows. And we want to make all those heading 4. Heading 4 does not have a line under it, but it does make it bold in blue. And save our workbook. And then I want to select B4 to E4, which is just the first row here. And then select the range down here from B8 to E8. And I think what we're going to do here is I'm going to put I'm going to do the accounting format. If you put a $ and 2 decimal places in, and see how nice it was? It widened the columns for me now that I'm putting the commas and 2 decimal places and a $ in there. And then I want to select the numbers that are in between from B5 to E7 here. We're not going to do $ on those. We're just going to do a comma and 2 decimal places. So they typically in this book, they put a $ on the top row, a $ on the bottom row, but not on the rows in between. Okay, select B8 to E8, which is this row here. And what I want to do with that is I want to assign that another style, the total style, which is a single line above and a double line below. And so I've got Calibri 11, but down here it's Calibri 11 bold. And we're now on page 320, activity 1.10, and we're going to go to the page layout tab here. And we're going to go to the themes group and click themes, and we're going to choose the retrospect theme. A theme is a collection of fonts and colors, basically. So if I click on that, you know, this is still title, this is still heading 1, these are still heading 4, and the stuff down here is still total, but it's with a different set of fonts and colors. And we've been talking for a while now, so this is a good place to stop, and we'll continue with Objective 5 on page 320 in the next video.